I think we are live. Good to see everyone. Welcome to our spectacular, long-awaited, first ever Science of Getting Rich online workshop. I am your host, John Lavenia, as you no doubt have guessed, coming at you live here from Arizona. It is, you know what? It is a pleasure to be here and to share some things with everyone. I see we've got a bunch of people tuning in, not only in the Facebook group, but also here with us live on Zoom. We've got an all-star cast of characters, and I do mean characters. We got some people here from around the world. Welcome to everyone from North America, of course. Special welcome to our friends down under in Australia and New Zealand. An extra special welcome to our friends in the UK and throughout Europe who choose not to sleep because they're here with us right now. It's 1 a.m. in London, even later across the extra little bit of pond right there. But so glad that you're here with us. We're going to have some fun. You guys, is it okay if we have some fun with this? This is, yeah, I see you. In fact, let me get a few people on screen here. We'll fit a few people anyway, just to see a few of the people who are here with us. I see Julia, Sandy, Ivier, Serge, glad to see you guys. Catherine, Gail, Kim, Adrian, Mark, good to see you, brother. Lindsay's here. We got Edward over in the UK, Ace, Mandy, Jamie, good to see you, brother. Virginia Pipitone, the Cookie Queen, John Apogee, Joseph Dirac, good to see you, man. It's been a long time. Joe Saka, good to see you. Where's Regina? Is she around tonight? We got Mary Beth, Mike Zambuco from the North Pole. I know you, brother. That's North Pole, Alaska, not the actual North Pole. Evelyn's here, Nakuchi, Meryl, Maxine, and more people than I can even fit on the screen, and more coming in as we speak. I say we get this show on the road, my friends. We got a lot to cover, and it is my honor and privilege to be able to share with you some of the distinctions that I've gained and that have created mind-boggling results in my own life and my experience. I'm going to go ahead and mute all the microphones here because we got more people coming in. And then, by the way, housekeeping. Let's do this. Let's do housekeeping. As you're on the Facebook group, if you want to participate and you want to speak and ask questions and participate fully, there's a Zoom link that you'll see inside the private Facebook group. Okay. Now, if you click that Zoom link, it's going to fire up Zoom, microphone, speakers, camera, right? You want to kill the sound on the Facebook stream. Otherwise, we're going to be hearing 10 seconds later, here's the voice again, right? So just one or the other. There's also a chat role here on Zoom as well as in the Facebook group. In fact, Nakuchi is our co-host tonight. In fact, just want to say hats off to you, Nakuchi. She is courtesy of Brand Builder Design Studios. She works with Shannon in our branding agency, and she's done some amazing work for her. So thank you for, I guess she's slumming tonight. She's hanging out with me today. Shannon's the refined one. I'm the boorish, Godzilla guy. So what else as far as housekeeping? There are downloads. Okay, so you may not have expected it, but you're getting it anyway. There's a workbook or the first quarter of a workbook, because we're going to just focus on a quarter of the book tonight. You want to go ahead and download that as well. That is in your Facebook group. Okay, the idea here for this workshop, the idea is that we're going to go ahead and look at some what I would call timeless wisdom, things that I've recognized that worked in my life because I've actually applied them to the best of my ability. I haven't arrived. I'm not perfect. Everyone here in our mastermind group knows that I will be the first to tell you I have not arrived. Okay, I'm on the path too. But, and it's a big but, right? You take just a few of the ideas that you get here, just tonight, never mind the other 3 sessions we're going to do, just tonight, one thing can completely transform your perspective and therefore the decisions you make and the results that you get. I want to ask you to have that expectation for yourself. In fact, I asked all of you before we got together here, what is like your biggest goal? What is the one thing that you want more than anything to accomplish and that you're expecting to get out of this time that you're investing, this attention that you could be putting on more entertaining things, right? I'm sure there's kitten videos. There's probably people like idiots right now on TikTok, right? And being all crazy. So there's other more entertaining things you can do than hang around with this, Italian street philosopher guy in Phoenix, but yet you're here. So I want to honor that. And I want you to have 10 million times what you're expecting to get out of this, because as everyone here in the Success Mastermind knows, I'm here to help you make a spectacle of yourself in a good way, of course, in a good way. Okay. So again, this is all brought to you by the paying members of jlsuccessmastermind.com. And we've got many of them joining us here tonight as well. So get ready. We're going to go ahead and do this a little bit differently than we typically do for those of you who are members and are in our weekly book study. Usually I like to open it up right away, say, hey, here's the chapters we just read. Let me hear what your thoughts are on this. What I want to do, because we have so many new people joining us here today who've not been exposed to this work before. In fact, if I could see a show of hands for those of you who are on camera, how many of you have read this book before? One, two of you, three that I can see. So I'm thinking the majority have not. So this is going to be some breakthrough stuff. It's not a big book as far as actual length, right? It's not like we're reading Atlas Shrugged or something, which we'd be here for months. But it's one that I could talk about for months because it's so rich with content and with understanding. I'm going to go ahead. The way we're going to run this for these next 4 sessions tonight and then 3 more is I'm going to give you my thoughts on some things that I've highlighted in the book. And in this book, I can highlight almost the whole damn thing. Okay, but I'm going to give you some highlights. And then we're going to open it up for discussion. I want to hear your thoughts on this. One of the things that makes our mastermind group different than just you getting lectured at, by some guy on YouTube or something, is that you actually participate, right? We actually have a dialogue. Imagine that, right? This isn't like some guru experience where you just get to be the audience. This is about what works in your life. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so we can all see what I'm seeing here. Let me go ahead and do that. All right, a little nod. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Yeah. All right, good. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the beginning. So The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I was introduced to this book back in around the year 2000. Maybe it was the late 1990s when I was looking for answers. I had gotten certain results in my life. Things were working better than they were then I was a troubled youth, right? So I'd made some progress in my life, but I hadn't quite broken through some invisible barrier to the one area of life that so many people kind of dance around and make excuses for, and that is actually creating affluence, getting rich, as it says unapologetically right here on the cover. Now, this would be considered politically incorrect by today's standards. And as we get into this work, I want you to suspend any preconceived ideas, think you already know. First of all, the English in here is over 100 years old. This was written in 1910. Okay, so we may define a few words and whatever, and he may not say things the way that we say them in modern parlance. Okay, so the surest way to make sure you get nothing is to think you already know, right? So don't know. We'll just look, and then we can know based on data, based on observation. Okay, so as we get into this, the very first line of the book, the preface, we're not even into chapter 1 yet. First words, this book is pragmatical. Thank you. All right, so what is the author telling us right now? What is he telling me? He's telling me, John, this is for use. This is not for you to sit around and philosophize and stare out the window, gazing at the stars with a pipe, wondering about the cosmos, right? This is about doing it. This is a book about putting to use things that have been proven to work in the lives of countless people, yes, who did sit around and philosophize about it. And they actually took the scientific method. They've actually looked and they said, oh, this carries water. This works. This will bear fruit. So let me save you a bunch of time, is what he's saying to everyone right now. Let me save you a bunch of time. It's a practical manual. It's not a treatise upon theories. Right? Like this means like a long dissertation. Pragmatical means that it's for use, right? We actually use this stuff pragmatically, okay? It's intended for men and women whose most pressing need is for money, who wish to get rich first and philosophize afterward. Thank you, Mr. Wattles. I know I'm in the right place. And he said, you can go ahead and shake this stuff out for yourself. Okay, here's some sources. He talks about the monistic theory. So what this means is all of this work that we're about to go through, everything he wrote here is based on one idea And it's right here, the monistic theory. One is all is one. In other words, that there is an unseen energy, which can't be created or destroyed, okay? Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, right? That means all knowing, all powerful, everywhere, right? And that from that, all this other stuff, all this effect, all these things that we experience doing this whole human thing that we're doing, that comes to be because of this, because there is energy. Energy is. Okay. And you can't divide it. In fact, we can't even really talk about it because as soon as I start talking about it, I'm not even telling you the truth. I'm telling you my opinion of the truth. Therefore, just know that there is that supreme energy or intelligence. People sometimes get hung up on words. By the way, I'm not here to offer you like religious training. Okay. So whatever church you grew up in or didn't grow up in or whatever, I personally have studied Eastern thought, Western thought. I've been studying philosophy for over 30 years out of necessity because hey, my life wasn't working, right? So let me seek out some wisdom, right? But don't get stuck on labels. Okay. So here's what he's talking about. Energy, right? The universe, God, put in the words that work for you. All right. Moving on. Chapter 1, the right to be rich. Now, how many of us, as soon as we look at the title of this chapter, start to wonder, well, hold on, it's my right? Oh, nobody said I had the right to that. In fact, aren't rich people, well, hold on a second here. I learned from, my parents, my forebears, maybe the church, maybe whoever, right? I've got a lot of considerations about being rich. What does that mean? And here's this guy telling me it's my right to do so. He substantiates that. He says, look, the object of all life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. I've heard it said that God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you can develop in this lifetime. Your gift back to God is to develop as much of that as you're able to in this lifetime. So again, no apologies for reaching higher, for intending to be, do, and have more. Yes, to get rich. And as we go through this book, any ideas, which I would call counter intention, right? So we've got the intention of success, but, okay, and then everything that comes after the but, that would be counter intention. That would be the internal argument, the inner dialogue that causes us to not reach, to not execute, to hold ourselves back. This is the first thing that has to be addressed. It says here, the purpose of nature is the advancement and unfoldment of life. That is the purpose of nature. And every man should have all that he can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. To be content with less is sinful. Now, I want to focus on that for a minute, because again, we get into words like this, and a lot of times, I'll speak for myself, right? So I grew up in an environment where there was a good dose of guilt, sin, right? Okay, so what is sin? Here's the best definition of sin that I've ever found. That's missing the mark. Missing the mark. That's it. Missing the mark. Has anyone here ever missed the mark? Was it just me? Right? Okay. So it's not a moral judgment or an evaluation of your morality. It is an acknowledgement of, we could say, your humanness, right? So we've got lots of things impinging on us, our attention and our ability to make right decisions, right? Right thinking, right action. Okay. So to be content with less is to have missed the mark, to have not fulfilled the purpose of nature, which, by the way, you're a part of, right? Thinking of this whole, monotheist sort of theory, right? That energy is, and you're an individualization of that energy. And the purpose of that energy is to experience more, greater fullness, expansion, prosperity, right? Life has advanced so far and become so complex. Here's an argument for why, by the way, it's your right to be rich. It's become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth in order to live in a manner that even approaches completeness. Okay. People say, money isn't everything. Okay. Yeah, it's not everything, but it's, it's kind of like right up there with, air, air and water, right? I mean, this is where we've evolved to as a species, right? So we're doing this whole money thing, which is actually a beautiful thing. In a later book, written decades after this one was written by another author, Napoleon Hill, he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, where he talked about how capital works and how people cooperate with each other and how it's given us all these amazing advancements. Like in the last 50 years, more than the last 50,000 years combined, right? Amazing stuff. Okay, so this is possible because we've evolved into, yes, some complexity, but let's acknowledge that we have, I mean, we're born into this game, right? Well, we might as well play to win. And by the way, and we're going to find this out later in the book, that doesn't mean play to win at the expense of others. Play to win alongside others and lifting others up with us. It's a very important point, and we're going to see more of that as we go deeper into the book. So we've got these motivations, okay? And so one of the questions that I've asked myself, and that I guess as I've gone through life, seeking answers and whatever, is, what is God's will for me? Some people ask themselves this, and we got people of faith here in the community, and we have people who don't have any particular ideas about it. But I think that question kind of reveals that I've missed the point, because look, if it's the whole purpose of nature to experience itself as an individualization of itself, namely you, right? Well, then desire is the possibility seeking expression, or function seeking performance. In other words, my desire wants expression through me as much as I want it. People have sometimes talked about the universe conspiring for your greater good. That's what this is. That's what this is talking about. It is that omnipotence seeking expression through you. That's it, right? So I would argue, and I talked about this in my first book, Integrity is Everything. I would argue that the whole purpose of life is to have the experience. What experience? The one that's your innermost desire, the fulfillment of your purpose as individualized by you. So let's not make apologies for wanting to reach higher above mediocrity, right? Thank goodness. If not for you, well, we'd all be on the slow boat to nowhere, right? So no apologies for that. It is your right to be rich. And you damn well better, because there's a lot to pay for in life. And I can tell you, you can do a whole lot more good with money than you can without. He closes this chapter with, it's perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you're a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. It's perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest and most necessary of studies. If you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God and humanity, for you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself. Put another way, the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. You can do a whole lot more good with money than you can without. End of chapter 1, moving on. So now that we've established that we're on the right path, we're going to establish that you can actually reach your goals. And so this is, for me, this is the 1-2 punch. This is where he said, okay, here's the road we're going down. This is for use. And yes, it's good for you to use it. And now here's how I'm going to prove to you that you actually can. Yes, you can. There's so many things in our life that are impinging on us, the negativity, the doubts, the ideas that you can't. Right now, he's going to prove to us that you can do this, because he's basing this on law. When we get into science, right? What is science? It's the study of how things work, right? Law. What is law? And I've read lots of books about the 10 million irrefutable laws of this or that. Sometimes people just throw around the word law without it actually being a law. It's basically their opinion. Maybe it's a principle or, a good idea, but is it actual law? What is a law? A law is something that works again and again and again. And I've often said, you can't break the law. You can only break yourself against the law, right? Try walking off a building and going up. It's not going to work, right? There's a law of gravity, and it works always, whether you know it or like it or not. Okay. In fact, ignorance of the law is no excuse. It will work anyway. That's a law. Something that works whether you know it or like it or not. If you do what he shows you here, you will get rich with mathematical certainty. So can anybody tell me what 2 + 2 equals? Yeah, 4, right. So, okay, it's that level of certainty. Actually, in modern times, we've had people that want to actually argue that, okay? But it's that level of mathematical certainty. It's that scientific universal law, which we're applying here. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. Those who do things in this certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich, while those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. My friends, this may be the most important line in the entire book. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to search this document right now for the words certain way. It is on 24 pages in this document, multiple times on those 24 pages. This is big. This is big. If you take nothing else out of here tonight, take what I'm about to show you when it comes to what this certain way is. This was a breakthrough for me, changed my life. Get ready for this. Where were we? Let's get back to the chapter 2. Chapter 2, where is it? My goodness. The certain way. Notice how he capitalizes this, like it's some divine proper noun, holy kind of a thing, right? He qualifies this further. It's not a matter of environment. If it were, people over there get rich, people over there don't, right? People in the same location and in the same business. One gets rich, the other remains poor. Have you ever seen this in your life? Are you in the same business or profession of others, like competitors or other colleagues perhaps? Why is it that only 2% of the people in any endeavor are in the top 2%, right? Why is that? Why is 2% only 2%? Did you ever ask yourself that? Why do these people become wildly successful and these don't? Is it because they're talented? No, it's not due, not solely to the possession of talent. No, they're an average lot in all respects. Have we not also seen evidence of this? Have we not seen where people are like, oh my goodness, they're not doing anything special. I could do that. These are people that do almost exactly the same things. One gets rich, the other remains poor or becomes bankrupt. Why? Great question. If getting rich is the result in doing things in a certain way, and if like causes always produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich, and the whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. Okay, so let's get into this now. Here we go. He just said the certain way. Here it is again, certain way, certain way, certain way. Look at all this. And I'm reading this. I'm going back a few years now. Okay. And I read this book a few times. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, do it in a certain way, man. That's awesome. Let's see here. Yeah. Hold on a second here. What does he mean by the certain way? Is it a special way? Is that what he's talking about? Is it a secret way? Right? I mean, no, I'm on the internet. They got all these, the secrets of this and cracking the code of that. And everybody seems to have a secret these days, right? Secret. Maybe I need another secret. It's a secret way. And how could he tell me? This was written in 1910, man. They were banging out horseshoes on the blacksmith anvil. It's like, I'm on the internet. What the hell does this guy know? So I got out the best self-help book ever written. It's called The Dictionary. And I started looking up words. And one of the words I looked up was certain. And wouldn't you know it, one of the definitions for the word certain is the absence of doubt, certainty. And I said, that's it. That's the certain way, which deserves capitalization. It's the way of no doubt. And that definition, that transcends time. I don't care if you're the blacksmith, you're the internet guy, whatever. Okay. It's that definiteness of decision. It's that lack of doubt. It's that certainty. And we feel it. We know it when we're certain, don't we? We just do things a little bit differently. I could because I've been in sales and marketing for a long time, I can hand a salesperson a script and it's the exact same words. And they could close nothing, it totally botch it, disaster, terrible statistics. Awful, right? And I could give it to somebody else and they're like, yeah, that's nice. I don't even need the damn script. And they go and they do it, right? And everybody's buying. It's the certain way. It's the way of no doubt. And it's a way of, think of it like this. And I've done this in workshops, okay, where I've had people sit across from each other with partners, right? And just look at each other. Don't try to sell anything. This is like a sales training type workshop. Don't try and sell anything. Don't even say anything. Just sit there and look at each other for like 3 minutes, not a long time. And usually when I give the instruction, people start, squirming in their seat. I'm just going to sit there and say nothing and stare at somebody for 3 minutes. Yeah. Sit there and stare at them for 3 minutes. Just get ready to sell something. I don't even know what we're selling yet, but just confront your customer. They're not even really a customer. They're somebody else sitting in a seminar. And at the end of that exercise, I ask people, what was going through your mind? And then we pass around the microphone. And most people, they introvert. Oh, I hope I'm doing it right. I'm not sure. What do they think of me? All this internal dialogue about themselves, right? But a few people extrovert. I wonder about that person. I wonder what their wants and needs are. I like them, right? I want to help that person. I want to deliver value to that person, right? They don't even know what they want yet. See, there's a difference between being introverted and being extroverted as it relates to the daily actions, the things that you do, and the certain way that you do them or not. This is the trick, my friends. And that's why you can see people who, what did he say here? Talented people get rich, blockheads get rich, intellectually brilliant people get rich, very stupid people get rich, physically strong people get rich, weak and sickly people get rich, right? That's why we could see people and recognize examples out in life and society where it's like, they're not doing anything special. But you know what? They're reaching, they're out there, they're putting whatever benefits they have out into the marketplace. And like the late Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. No secret businesses here, right? In other words, have the certainty within yourself that you reach, that you do it, that you execute, that you publish. This is magical stuff, guys. And yeah, sure, you got to have some sense, but any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand, all right, so if you can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, you could do it too. There you go. Getting rich involves the necessity of dealing with men. You see this? Extroversion. And again, men and women, this was written 110 years ago, okay? But you can't do this in a cave. You can't do this introverting. All opportunities come through other people. Increase your income by increasing your value to the marketplace. Dealing with men. That's where the magic happens. And they do it in every kind of business, in every profession. Now, naturally, you'll do best in a business which calls for the exercise of those talents, things that you're most interested and inclined and have an aptitude for. Interest renders aptitude, right? I'm not very good at most things, okay? I'm really freaking good at a couple of things. Great. Maximize that, right? See how you could serve your fellow man with those things that to put you in the flow where you could lose track of time. You do it for fun. And for me, there's certain things in my life which effortless, which other people, not at all, right? Oh, it's a big deal, right? Okay, great. We don't want a mirror of each other, right? It can't be all things to all people. But what's your purpose? And what do you just naturally, what do you just find yourself gravitating towards? You still may need some training, and that's fine. Okay, you can develop those talents, but interest renders aptitude. Remember that. Moving on. Here's the thing. He talks about if you don't have capital, right? You got circumstances. Well, guess what? Who doesn't, right? Thanks for the reminder. But if you begin to do things in the certain way, you will begin to get rich. You will begin to have capital, right? So it's not a lack of resources that stops someone from accumulating capital, right? Oh, I got to have money to make money. And I understand that, yes, money can be put to work to make more money. That's wonderful. But how do you start that flow? You start the flow by doing things in a certain way. He qualifies that. If you have no capital, you can get capital. That's all he says about it, the lack of money. He's not giving any energy to the so-called lack that you may have experienced up to this point. If you're in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you're in the wrong location, you get in the right location. But you can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in a certain way, which causes success. In other words, the way out is the way through. The way out of a deficit type condition is to outproduce that condition, to blow your stats up so huge that you outgrow your post. And then you reach for the higher post, the promotion, the business, right? Not to sit there and gripe and to be critical of your circumstances, which are the effect. They're not the cause. Ralph Emerson, the great American philosopher, said that the law of laws is cause and effect. Cause and effect. Anytime we're giving energy and thereby assigning cause to circumstances, saying the circumstances are causing me to not be able to fulfill my goals, then we're saying I'm the effect. Circumstances are cause. I'm the effect. Guess what, my friends? Effects don't create effects. Causes create effects. We must reassign cause to ourselves, beginning right where you stand. And then the whole world opens up. And people may not even recognize you. Some of you who got on here early, you saw one of our members here, Ivie, who's not sleeping right now. She's in England, and it's 1:30 in the morning already. My goodness, I'm going to have to speed this up. I want to open this up for discussion. Okay. But she has seen tremendous advancement in not only in her current employment, but in her businesses that she's taken on. Like right before my eyes, transformation. I've only known Ivie for maybe 6 to 9 months. I don't know. I feel like she's my sister. I've known her forever. Okay. But oh my goodness, the transformation. So this stuff happens in common hours, right where you stand, but it doesn't happen if you're the effect. Remember that. Effects don't create effects. Causes create effects. Moving on, we're going to get through chapter 3 pretty quick because we need to get into chapter 4 because this is some mind-blowing stuff. So no man is kept poor because opportunity has been taken away from him. Remember what I just said about cause and effect. Okay, so if you're the victim, you're not cause. Remember that. Okay, so you can either be cause and have an effect, right? I mean, we're just talking about the words now, right? If you want to be effective, well, then you can't be a victim. Nor can you assign blame elsewhere. And that's sort of the punchline for all this is that if you actually adopt and attempt to have integrity to these principles, you can no longer be a victim. There's a lot of agreement in victim land, right? You get to go and be social, and we get to bitch and gripe about all our problems, and we all get to go nowhere together. And hey, I won't hold you to account as long as you don't hold me to account for our mediocrity, right? Lots of agreement there. Okay, well, you can have that, or you could be rich. At different periods, the tide of opportunity sets in different directions. So here's what he means by this. According to the needs of the whole and the particular stage of social evolution which has been reached. He's talking here about present time when he was writing this, that the steamships and the railroads, and now, you know what, I think there's going to be this, airplanes, might be a big thing. Maybe get into, go down that road a little bit, right? So where are we at today, right? The information age, or what many have called the misinformation age, right? We've got a lot of conveniences and technology that didn't exist 100 years ago, certainly. Okay. But you see the tide of opportunity moving? And have you recognized opportunities in your life that you could seize, right? You could carpe diem, right? You could seize the carp. But did you? Interesting, right? But there's always opportunity. There's no monopoly on opportunity. Nor can we blame those who have seized those opportunities and compare ourselves. In other words, compare our insides to other people's outsides. They got all their act together, man. They're amazing. I haven't accomplished that yet. Therefore, I'm less than. That's a rough conversation. And by the way, society keeps you in that conversation. Mass media and all kinds of inputs keep you in that conversation where there's these special few people, that top 1 or 2%. But then you, oh, well, now, you're not in that insiders group. Watch out for that imaginary wall of demarcation between you and who these so-called special people are. If you've read this chapter already, he goes into detail about this. This is good stuff. There is an abundance of opportunity for the man who will go with the tide instead of trying to swim against it. And look, we know when we're in the flow, don't we? We have felt, again, like I talked about before, it's almost like I'm losing track of time. Like I am thrilled with what's going on in my life and the effect that I'm able to have. I am happiest. Yes, I am happiest when I'm in a state of high integrity action, solving the problems, overcoming the barriers, reaching the goals. And we reach every goal we set. Now, we may miss targets. I've missed lots of targets, but we reach every goal we set because we're on purpose. And we know that one of the laws, just like planting a seed in the ground, if you were a farmer, one of the laws, it's actually called the law of gender. It states that all seeds have a gestation or incubation period, right? So it's not like, I'm expecting corn to spring out of the ground in 15 seconds because I planted the seed. Same thing with my goals, right? Everything's being delivered right on schedule. And with my inner knowingness, my inner understanding, I know that seed is growing. All I got to do is go with the flow and stop pulling that root out again and again because I can't see it physically. We've got to give it time to germinate. Here he's talking about that separation between classes, the so-called working class, versus the the masters of industry, right? And the contempt that one class sometimes has for another. Let's say that we have contempt or envy for those who have become more successful than us. They're further down that road. Well, guess what? We're pushing that reality away. Later in the book, we're going to talk about the difference between the creative process versus the competitive mind, the competitive mindset. It's a big distinction. Become the master class. The working class may become the master class whenever they will begin to do things in a certain way. There's that word again. The individual worker, however, is not held down by the ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class. He can follow the tide of opportunity to riches, and this book will tell him how. This is another way of saying that if you continue to go into agreement with all those outside influences, mass media, the sky is falling, the merchants of chaos, everything's a problem, you can't. If you continue to go into agreement with that, well, now you will be held down by the ignorance or the mental slothfulness of his class. Thinking is hard. It's the hardest work there is. Henry Ford said thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably why so few people engage in it. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is honor yourself as an individual, apply some self-determinism, apply the use of the mental faculty known as will, which we're going to talk about later in the book, and just create a little bit of distance there. Maybe just stop for a moment. Stop accepting what keeps getting shoved down your throat in terms of all these circumstances that are so supposedly in control. How about you in control? I like that a bit better. The visible supply is practically inexhaustible, and the invisible supply really is inexhaustible. Here he's coming back to the monotheist type idea where their energy is. And another one of the laws of the universe, it's called the perpetual transmutation of radiant energy. Basically what that means is that nothing's created or destroyed. Everything's just moving into form. And through other forms into different forms, we can shape the metal with our hands and turn it into this or turn it into that. But we didn't create the metal. It already was. And there's an inexhaustible supply of this stuff. Get that into your mind. Burn that in. Because any idea of lack or limitation, whether we're talking about opportunity or resources, will check your progress, will stop you in your tracks. Everything you see on earth is made from one original substance out of which all things proceed. No man, therefore, is poor because nature is poor or because there is not enough to go around. It's inexhaustible. This is truly, listen, this is true of men collectively. The race as a whole is always abundantly rich. Look around. There's an abundance of all kinds of stuff. Are we seeing it? And if individuals are poor, it's because they do not follow the certain way of doing things which makes the individual man rich. Again, you can't break the law. You can only break yourself against the law. The formless stuff is intelligent. It is stuff which thinks. It is alive and is always impelled toward more life. Remember the purpose of nature, fuller expansion and expression. The universe of forms has been made by formless living substance. So as within, so without. The microcosm, the macrocosm. Now, here we can go down some interesting rabbit holes of quantum field theory and physics and all this. Okay, again, this is 1910. And again, this book is pragmatic. It's not philosophical. Okay, so this is for use. But we can see where the idea precedes the action, throwing itself into form in order to express itself more fully. There can be no lack unless God is to contradict himself and nullify his own works. Don't hold your breath. Moving into chapter 4, and my friends, we're going to open this up, and I hope you're getting some cognitions out of this, like some, oh my goodness, there it is. Because I'll tell you what, every time I go through this book, I get not only reminders, but I don't know if they come in here and tweak the words or something, but I see new things. I get new distinctions. Obviously, they're not tweaking the words. They're 100 years old. Okay. But I've evolved. So I keep coming back to this. This is amazing work. The first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. He said just at the end of the previous chapter, this is thinking stuff. Can we impregnate that thinking stuff, that field of pure possibilities, right? Can we impregnate that with an idea? Can we press upon it an idea through the use of thought? There's been many books written on this. I already mentioned one of them, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, a classic. We've studied that one here in our mastermind group, and we'll do it again. I keep coming back to that one again and again as well. But keep that in mind, that first precept, thought. The thought of an oak tree does not cause the instant formation of a full-grown oak tree, but it does start in motion the forces which will produce the tree along established lines of growth. So like we already mentioned, the law of gender, right? There's a gestation or incubation period. How long does it take for that acorn to burst through the ground? I don't know. I'm not a botanist. Okay. How long does it take for a human baby? 9 months, thereabouts, right? Imagine if people tried to violate that law, right? Well, where's the baby? You know, I thought you said you were pregnant. That was last week. It's been a whole week already. So think about this. This works based on laws, which you really had nothing to do with, except one thing, to hold the thought. When we get into the chapter on the use of will, the purpose of the will is to hold the right thought, and to do that habitually and consistently enough to the point where you are so certain that your goals are being delivered right on schedule, you have no doubt, the certain way. No thought of form can be impressed upon the original substance without causing the creation of the form. In other words, he's giving you a guarantee here. He's saying that this has to work. It's law. It can't not work. You can't screw it up. The only way to screw it up is to go on a reverse vector, to pull the seeds out of the ground, to doubt the law. That's how you screw it up. There's your so-called failure. Man is a thinking center and can originate thought. Okay, so now we're thinking inductively, not just deductively, not just here's what everybody else says I should think. Here's what I want to think. He can originate thought, and the forms that man fashions with his hands must first exist in his thought. He cannot shape a thing until he has thought that thing. I want to make a horseshoe, says the blacksmith. He thinks of horseshoe. He takes the metal. He makes the horseshoe. If no picture of horseshoe, no horseshoe. Simple. And here's the self-deprecation, which we're all so fond of, right? Talking about man and he has not dreamed that he can do what he seeth the Father doing, right? For those of you who have studied Christian scripture, Jesus said, you could do all this and even greater things. Nobody believed him, okay? But that was what he said, right? So this whole self-denial thing, this whole self-imposed limitation. And look, I haven't arrived either. I've already said that. I'm still working on this stuff. I am not manifesting fish and loaves. As soon as I have, I'll write a book about it and you'll see me levitating outside your office window, but I'm not there yet. Okay. But we're making progress as we propose to prove that he may do so. So now he's going to say, look, you may have read this scripture. I'm going to prove that you can do so. Here's the first assertion. We assert. So we're saying that this is true. We assert there is one original formless stuff or substance from which all things are made. So back to the original idea that he's basing all this on. And he gives us this syllabus, which we're going to read out loud, verbatim. And I'm going to ask you to burn this into memory if you like. In fact, I've given everyone a workbook here, at least for the first 4 chapters. You can write whatever you want. Nobody's going to read it but you. But one of the things I would recommend is if you print this workbook out, you write on the back of the pages, write this. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. That's the beginning of the syllabus. He's going to expand on that further in the book. But get this into your mind, right? It requires a bit of faith, not just in yourself, which we all hopefully are all working on, right? Knowing that we can be, do, and have more, but faith in law, the orderly method of the universe, of God, of energy, the orderly method, the law, the unbreakable universal truths of how life works. And by the way, this works for financial riches, for all kinds of things, right? Where is success not a possibility? You tell me. This is it right here. Be it, do it, and have it. We're going to expand on this as we continue through the book, but just to wrap up this chapter, if every man who does what it tells him to do, he's talking about this teaching, If every man who does what it tells him to do gets rich, that is positive proof until someone goes through the process and fails. The theory is true until the process fails. And this process will not fail, for every man who does exactly what this book tells him will get rich. Will, not might, will. So here's what the author is saying. I believe that you can do this. I believe in you, maybe even more than you believe in you. He's reassuring the reader. Okay, listen as if he's talking to you personally. He's telling you, I know this will work for you. You may not know it yet. But please just have some faith. We've done this countless times. And all I did was, I didn't invent some new truth here or anything. I just looked. And I looked again and again and again. And here's what carries water. This is what works. We've proven it. Just do it. And then we can philosophize about it later. Please just do it. Men get rich by doing things in a certain way. In order to do so, men must become able to think in a certain way. So the thought precedes the deed. To think in a certain way allows you to behave in a certain way. And then, my goodness, the whole thing opens up for you. If you can't think in a certain way, in other words, if you can't think with certainty, if you live in a state of chronic indecision, as many people do, well, how much time do you got? A man's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he thinks about things. To do things in a way you want to do them, you'll have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. This is the first step toward getting rich. To think what you want to think is to think truth, regardless of appearances. What does that mean? Well, hold on. I'm looking at the circumstances. Is that not truth? Oh, hold on a second. Are the circumstances cause or effect? Are they based on the future or based on the past? Oh, circumstances are based on the past. They're the effect. It's not the truth of who I am and where I'm going. I'm evolving. I'm reaching forward. This is what sane people do, by the way. They spend most of their time contemplating futures, not present circumstances. Certainly, we're going to work with what is, okay? We're going to use the tools that are available to us. And certainly not impinged on and fixated on the past, which we can do nothing about. To think truth, regardless of appearances. The truth is, I'm a goal achiever. The truth is, I earn X amount of dollars per month. The truth is, I have the freedom, the flexibility, yes, the options in my life to be, do, and have what I want and to cause benefits in the lives of others. I can do so much more good with money than I can without. That's the truth, regardless of appearances. To think truth, regardless of appearances, is laborious. Here's the bad news, everybody. And requires the expenditure of more power than any other work man is called upon to perform. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. I shouldn't be laughing. It is the hardest work in the world. This is especially true when truth is contrary to appearances. This is the hardest work you'll ever do. Sometimes people think personal development is like some fluffy, lofty stuff. And oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, thanks for sharing, whatever. Now let's get back to whatever we were doing before. No, this is hardcore. This is not for the weak. Self-mastery is the toughest game you'll ever play. It's also the greatest game you'll ever play. I've been at it for 30-something years. Still working on it. Thank you all for bearing with me. In conclusion, to think health when surrounded by the appearances of disease, or to think riches when in the midst of appearances of poverty, requires power, lots of power. But he who acquires this power becomes a mastermind. He can conquer fate. He can have what he wants. This whole thing we're doing here this week is hosted by the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. Again, I'll quote Napoleon Hill, where he talks about this is the only way to accumulate great power is through the use of and the cooperation of other minds. In other words, you can't do this alone. You must surround yourself with people who are sympathetic with your purposes. By sympathy, I don't mean, oh, I feel sorry for you. Sympathy meaning in harmonious vibration. They want you to succeed too. They're not feeding you all this crap and victimhood, right? They want nothing more than for you to go make a spectacle of yourself because you can do a whole lot more good in the world with money than you can without. I don't think we need any more victims. I think we got plenty of those. We need leaders. Please be that, right? This is the power that he's talking about here. This power can only be acquired by getting hold of the basic fact, which is behind all appearances. He's talking again about the thinking substance. the one thing that he's basing all this on. Energy is. When we realize this, we lose all doubt and fear. Okay, we're talking about faith. He's talking about having faith. That there's that you don't know everything, and that's okay. You don't have to know everything. There's an energy that does. And when we realize this, we lose all doubt and fear. For we know that we can create what we want to create. We can get what we want to have, and we can become what we want to be. We can be, do, and have. What a beautiful thing. Here's the syllabus again. Dwell upon this until it's fixed in your mind, has become your habitual thought. Habits beat heroics, my friends. You don't have to, like, it's not one big heroic effort tonight and you've arrived. No, no, no. Habits. If a doubt comes to you, cast it aside as a sin. I missed the mark. Oh, I doubted. Okay, great. Oh, I remember who I am now. I'm that goal achiever. I'm that rich person. Do not listen to arguments against this idea. Do not go to churches or lectures where a contrary concept of things is taught or preached. Do not read magazines or books which teach a different idea. If you get mixed up in your faith, all your efforts will be in vain. I'm going to suggest, and then I'm going to stop talking. My goodness, I've been going for 51 minutes already. I'm going to suggest you go on a media fast. I've been doing this for a while. And when I fail to do it, then I get the effect of failing to do it. And that is, take a break. Just stop looking at all the things that have been impinging on you in media and the problems that everybody wants to talk about, and pandemics and politics and oh my freaking goodness, and you're not cause, you're effect, and you're a victim. Just stop. Don't let that in. Close your mind tightly against anything that would suggest that you can't have what you want. And watch how much more effective you are in your daily actions. The same exact stuff you were doing yesterday. Watch how different. And you give this time, right? Next thing you know, it's a week down the road and you're like, oh my goodness, I feel good. Next thing you know, it's a month down the road and you're wondering, do I ever want to come off of this media fast? It's interesting stuff. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to offer the floor to anyone who wants to jump out here. We're going to go ahead and raise hands. We got a bunch of people on the live Zoom feed tonight. So go ahead, and the raise your hand button is somewhere under the reactions or the whatever you the command is there. And then if you're on the Facebook room, please comments in there. We're going to read every single comment you put. And how I get paid for this is your feedback and knowing that you're getting something out of this. We've got, oh my goodness, live from the white wintry north, someone who I haven't talked to in a little while here, Mr. Mike Zambuco. How are you, sir?
Hello, John. Hello, everyone. Great stuff. I definitely will concur with your assessment of the media fast. I quit doing that several years ago, and wow, what a difference in the headspace.
Right, man. And you've been making progress. I haven't is Mike still live? Yeah, he is. I know that. Well, you know what I didn't know is that you had grown that beautiful beard, man. You're looking awesome.
My COVID beard.
Oh man, good times. And I know
this
that
will probably be the last time you'll see it this bad. I think it's going to be trimmed down or off here shortly. But
yeah, well,
it's still
spring, even for you guys up in Alaska. But I would tell you that for anyone who doesn't know Mike, right? He's been on this path for a little while himself, right? He didn't just show up here thinking, oh, you know what, my life's not working. Let me read a book or something, right? So Mike, thank you for corroborating that idea of the media fast, man. I cannot walk around and be effective while at the same time just being encumbered with all this problems, victimhood, unsolvable problems, right? Which I can't have an effect with. Steve Covey in his classic book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talked about working in your circle of influence and then letting that expand out into your circle of concern. That's how we do it. Mike, glad you're here, brother. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to hear from Joseph. Let's go ahead and get Joseph out here. Joseph, if you can unmute your microphone, I think that's going to work. And Joseph, come on out. Your hand is up. Hopefully I'm clicking the right button here. Joseph, I'll click it one more time. Joseph, you can go ahead and unmute your microphone.
There you go. Yeah, it wasn't coming
There
up.
he is. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing well. How are you, John?
I'm great, man.
Great content, great stuff. Yeah, no, I was thinking you mentioned a couple of people that rang a bell there, and one was Jim Rohn, and I remember him saying, those who seek a better life must first become a better person. And this book seems to really, hit that right on the head there. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting too is, it's called The Science of Getting Rich. And for those of us, I guess, of the faith, that it's really not faith or science. Faith and science go together here.
Mhm.
It's a combination here, and the power of the mind. We had a saying in the Army when I was there that it's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. But the reality is mindset is so key in personal development here too. I think wealth and success in any field. So thank you for putting this on tonight. It's great stuff.
Oh, Joseph, thank you so much. Glad you're here, man. Great to see you as well. We're going to go next to Julia. How you doing, Julia? Good to see you, my
Hey,
friend.
thank you. I just wanted to say that this kind of collective mastermind that we're in makes it so much easier to believe in these things and to stick with that belief, because when you try to do it on your own, and this is not a paid plug, but when you try to do it on your own, it's so easy to succumb to all the pressures and the other people saying, oh, but wait, really? That sort of thing. And having been in a group with a lot of these people here over the past most of a year, it's made a profound difference to me in what I've accomplished, what I think I can accomplish, what I believe I can accomplish, and so on. So cheers to the book, and cheers to you and everybody here. Thanks.
Thank you, Julia. And, I mentioned Ivier before, who I'd love to hear from since she stayed up until 2 a.m. And I think we're just getting started, right? We only got 3 more hours here, Ivier, and then you can go to sleep. Come on out if you would like. But I've gotten to know Julia, who is one of our members here in the mastermind group. And oh my goodness, profound, just profound when we actually put to use these ideas in life and in business. Julia just launched a products company, puzzles, Toozle Puzzles. And I've got one in the other room right there. And Julia, I'm going to take a picture of me putting the puzzle pieces together. It's beautiful. Thank you, my friend. All right, so let's go. I know I asked Ivy if she wanted to come out. I also see a couple of hands going up here. Let's get, I don't see Ivy unmuted. Let's get Glenn out here. Now, hold on, everyone. Before this guy talks, just get ready for the smoothest cat in the room. Glenn Henderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, John. The check should be arriving in a couple of days.
And you got that beautiful condenser mic with that Barry White voice going on.
My man, listen, I'm a singer, bro. I got to sound good. So good to see you, John. And this is an absolutely fabulous forum for sharing your profundities upon the profundities of 100 years ago. Love, love, love this book. And the thing that has been brought home to me again, listening to you share tonight and interacting with this fabulous mastermind of geniuses, is that, as you know, John, I have been learning in my recent days that, listen, y'all, listen, hey, is you picking up what I'm about to put down? The universe is paying attention. And this is what I'm figuring out, because, as you know, John, I've been putting intentions of my own out into the formless substance and stating very clearly what I want and what is mind already, and just waiting for the stuff to shape itself into what I want. And opportunities have come across my way, and I've been asked to speak at different events and, statewide, regional stuff, and opportunities for leadership, and there's new sources of income being dropped into my lap, seemingly but it really has been where the universe is paying attention. And I simply encourage everyone with whom I interact these days to be clear, get clarity on what you want, because the formless substance is waiting to hear what you want, to hear the vibration of your intention upon it, so that it can form itself into exactly what you want. Does this sound like all ethereal and spiritual and weird? Yeah, get over it. It works. It's working for me, and I know it's working for you, my friend. Back to you, John.
Glenn, I want to ask you real quick. Have you noticed that it's actually easier to do seemingly the same actions that you were doing before, but they're just so much more fruitful? Like when you're in the flow and you're just, you're working with the law instead of like going against the flow. Is that?
Oh my goodness. And
real?
you've just mentioned another great book, right? Working with the law. It's the difference, like Mr. Wattle said, two people executing the exact same action. One succeeds and one fails. What's the difference? One is taking the action without doubt. One is taking the action in full confidence that the result has already been achieved. And now I'm just looking for the formless stuff of the universe to shape itself into the result that I have already declared in my mind. That's the difference. So declare it and then go to work. This isn't some name it and claim it BS. Declare what you want, declare my intention, and then get off my rusty dusty and go to work. And that's what the universe hears and acts upon. To you, John.
Thank you, brother. And what is work? On purpose action. That's my favorite definition. Let's do it. I mean, what else are we going to do? Let's do it. Let's do the work. Hey, Ingrid, we've got a professional violinist here with us tonight. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good. Thanks. How are you?
Good. Can
This is great.
get a little bit closer to the microphone? I can hear you a little bit better.
Oh, sorry. There. Better?
Yes.
Okay. This is great. This is the second time we do this book. We did it before.
Not in this group, we haven't. This is the first time we've ever opened it up to the public. So we did Think and Grow Rich, which is a lot longer of a book.
Yeah. I did that one. Oh, I guess maybe I just downloaded this one. I got it on Audible and I listened to it because the certain way, that was really tricky. What is the certain way? Like figuring out what actually that was about. Yeah, I'm really going to enjoy this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ingrid. So glad you're here, my friend. All right. So, I do see Ivier has a hot mic. Ivier, get ready, everyone. You're about to hear from Ivier. What's on your mind, my friend?
So, I mean, as I read the book, I figured, I mean, if we take the apple tree, right? In the apple is the mechanism for apples to always be apples. So in the apple is the seed. So the seed is planted and you get the apple tree, and from the apple tree, you get many more apples. So if in nature, the inherent law works, why do we think it'll be any different with us? So we already have within us the seed of greatness, the seed to create that wealth. It's just a nurturing thing and a timing thing until it blossoms to the fullness that it's meant to be. Now, if we don't do that, I mean, like he says in the book, we don't only shortchange ourselves, but we let humanity, our community, people around us miss out on who we were meant to be. Because nobody can do me like I can do me. The reason why I exist, there's nobody else that can fill my shoes the way I'm meant to. That's why my fingerprint is unique, right? There will never be, I mean, unless, we get to cloning. And even then, I'm not quite sure they will get the clone of Ivier exactly as the original. There will always be something that will give it away and you will know that's the copy and this is the original, right? So if we think that way, there is nobody that can do what you've been created to do right here, right now. You exist for a reason. And if you don't fill that space, you're letting yourself down, you're letting your community down, because nobody else can replace you. That vacuum is there because just think of the entire, universe or, our world, right, as a jigsaw puzzle. And each of us is a piece that fits into that space. There's no other piece in the jigsaw puzzle that you can squeeze. I mean, you might, squeeze it, but it won't look right. The picture just won't look right. Now, if we all woke up every day saying to ourselves, where do I fit? I'm a piece of this puzzle. And if I don't occupy my space, that picture is never going to be completed. There's going to be that hole where I'm meant to be. Because you can shave a bit off another piece but the colors won't look right. The finished picture will look horrible. It just won't gel, right? And that's why we're here. So I'm just loving this. And sometimes, we'll see things, but the fact that we're seeing something the way it doesn't mean it's the truth. I mean, there's circumstances I see sometimes, and I say, no, I'm going to speak the reality I want to see. Because if I focus on what is, that's just magnified. And it occupies my sense of vision that I can't see anything else because I made this thing so much bigger than it actually is. But if I say to myself, no, what is the reality I want to see? And I focus on that and I repeat that, right? And I meditate on that. There's a better chance that I can create that reality that I do want to see. And whatever exists before that, ideal reality is created will dissipate, will vanish, will go, from whence it came, because I've not given it, the attention it's craving for, right? So, it's, as you were talking, I'm just thinking, we see it in nature. Why do we think it won't work with us? So, I'm all about, you know what? I'm going to be the best me that I can be. And like you say, John, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. If I'm not a better version today than I was yesterday, then I failed. I missed the mark. There's something I haven't done that I should have done. So I wake up every day and I go, how can I be a better person? How can I show up with intent, better, stronger, more present than I did yesterday? And if there's no improvement from day to day, then I'm wasting space. I'm sucking up energy. I'm using resources that, quite frankly, I'm wasting, right? We've got to be a better version of ourselves. From 2020, 2021, what have you improved? What have you worked on? If there's nothing, then we need to have a talk with that person in the mirror. So that's what was coming up for me. So
I love you. I love you. Yeah, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up way too much space. but look, there's some people in the chat here that were citing my first book, Integrity is Everything,
Yeah.
which came about 100 years after this book that we're reading right now, where I thought about, one of the ideas that I shared in the book is, who the hell am I to think that this great power, this universal law and energy exists in all things except me? I'm so, not me, right? That would be terribly conceited, right? For me to think, that it works in me too or something, because I've got all these suggestions, these ideas that were sold to me by ignorant but well-meaning people about how life is supposed to work. And what does that mean for me? And so you said, look, if they could clone you, if they can clone Ivier, let's say, okay, which by the way isn't you, right? So your name is Ivier, you aren't Ivier, you are energy, right? You are that individualization that animates this thing called Ivier, which is an action. I get to experience the Ivier actions, the talking and the doing of things, right? But even if they doctors, whoever they are, could clone the biological Ivier and the brain and everything else, would it be animated by that spirit? No. So right there, I almost feel like, well, I'm insulted. You try and clone me? Oh, no, you can't touch me, right? I'm not the body. I'm not even my mind. I use the mind, okay? But I am that which observes and animates this stuff, right? You know, I think the interesting thing is, like, the animals of the forest and whatever, they don't have these conversations, right? They operate based on instinct, right? The lion doesn't, in fact, I wrote about this too. The lion of the jungle doesn't sit around and bemoan or you know, do the whole indecision, the internal dialogue, right? Oh, should I go make the kill today? I'm not sure. You know, the gazelle, I know I'm supposed to be a lion, but right, all this BS, right? That attention versus counterintention. All we got to do, and what this book is asking us to do, is get out of our own friggin' way. Stop doubting yourself, right? You are a giant. Stand up. That's it, right? So I guess we don't have to read the rest of the book now. Actually, we will. We will. But thank you, Ivier Barnabas, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for, yeah. Try and clone her. Be my guest. Anybody else before we wrap up tonight? Hey, we've got this download. So in our Facebook group, go ahead and grab the first 4 chapters worth of the workbook. Okay, I want us to just focus on these first 4 chapters today and tomorrow. Today's over. Okay, well, depending on your time zone, our friends in Australia, it's noon or it's 1 o'clock there on the East Coast right now in the afternoon. But go ahead and fill that out. Nobody else is going to see the answers, just you. Unless you want to email them to me, then we can talk about it too. And then I would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, cognitions. Aha, you know, what about this? I got a question, right? If you want to communicate with me one-on-one, contact at johnlavenia.com. Many of you also got, obviously in the email group, and also my texting direct number. So feel free to use that. I do see, is it Edward? You've got your hand. I see Edward, Edwar. You've got your hand up. I don't have your full name. Did you want to speak? Come on out, click unmute on your microphone. Edward. I see you, but I do not hear you. Here he is.
Can you hear me now?
Hey.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm awesome. Now that I'm here with you, I'm doing great.
Well, I want to tell you that I am so refreshed from hearing you again. I've known of you and listened to you all the way back to Liberty League. And, you know, I've followed your information for a while. And I'm going to tell you, you talk about that certain way. Well, you know, and I don't want to pump anybody up or anything like that, but my friend, you have a certain way of bringing stuff to fruition as far as understanding. I really enjoyed the way you bring everything. I mean, I've got tapes of you doing the mastermind call on Liberty League. And what do we call it? We call it the, what kind of call was it?
The black belt marketing
Yes,
call.
yes. It was unbelievable.
You're on it right now. It's just 20 years later.
But it was so good. And I get a chance to listen to it. And from time to time I go back. But I just want to let you know that this was great. And I look forward to learning so much more, because just the revelation of the certain way tonight. I've read this book how many times, but I've never really understood what they've talked about the certain way. And I must say, I commend you. Thank you so much for that impartation.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. You know what? It was the dictionary, man. Like, I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Dictionary, best self-help book ever written. Man, look up the words. People talk and talk and talk. I have no idea what they're talking about. You know, how do you use the data if you don't understand the data? Thank you, Edward. And thank you for that acknowledgement. So glad you're here, brother. Man, it's been some years.
Long time.
Blast from the past. Well, I'm glad we were able to find you and get you a seat. Hey, we're going to go ahead and wrap up after we hear from, I think, one more person who's got their hand up, and it's another person who I cherish in my life. And Lindsay, you know, I'm talking about you. Come on out here, my friend.
Well, first of all, don't tell me to do 10 jumping jacks. Okay? I've been working out. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, we've had tornado damage, so I've been working.
Okay, hold on. We gotta enlighten everyone. So for anyone who doesn't know, Lindsay got on this broadcast we were doing. She's a member here with the mastermind group, and she was kind of dragging ass and was like, hey, wake up, do some jumping jacks or something. She immediately got up and started doing jumping jacks. That's called coachable. That's what that is, right?
Yes. That's but no, every time I've read this book, but then I went through it and with John going over it, and it's just like aha moments, light bulbs are like going off all over my head. But this is just, you just can't get any better than this. And I took a new media news fast. It was going to be a week 6 years ago, and I hadn't looked back. So everybody's like, you know what, are you not going to do this? I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, only thing I know is the fact of my ignorance, and it's real. Because I don't watch the news. There's a pandemic going on, really? Okay. But it's just not in my realm of thinking, because I don't think that's the certain way. But no, I was really enjoying this. So I'm looking forward to this whole book.
Thank you.
And thank
friend.
you.
Thank you. Well, we're a quarter of the way through the book. So we got 3/4 to go. We're going to be getting together again on Wednesday night, and then again on Friday night for those who are hardcore into this, right? I know it's Miller time and all, but we're going to be here, and then we're going to wrap up a week from now on next Monday, and we will have realized all the answers to the cosmos, and we'll arrive. So thank you, my friends. Thanks for being here. I don't see any other hands up. We're going to go ahead and wrap up with that. Feedback, questions, comments, go ahead and post them in the Facebook group. Text me, email me. I'm excited that you're here with us. Download that worksheet, workbook, and answer the questions. Give it some thought. That'll be tomorrow. We're taking tomorrow night off. We'll be back here on Wednesday night. Until then, my friends, make it a great day and a great tomorrow. You absolutely deserve it. We'll see you again real soon. Bye for now.